guys. Welcome back to the podcast. I've got Rachel. Rachel, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
Great. All the way from Canada, right? It's super cold up there.
You bet. Oh my gosh. Today was a high of -4, which in Fahrenheit is like 25. So it's terrible.
What does it
Actually,
start
that's not
at
that right.
then?
I don't know. It's so cold. Like it's
That's too
ice
cold.
and yeah.
That's way too cold. Anyways, I want to welcome to the podcast. Super excited to have you here, and we're gonna have a really awesome discussion. Just kind of the mental side of what it takes to be a marathoner. Now, before I get started with that, and before we get to know you a little bit more, I want to ask you our favorite question. What would you mandate if you could mandate anything?
If I could mandate anything, it would be that everybody starts their day by listening to a Beyonce song. Because I truly feel like she gets everybody in the right mindset,
Oh,
feeling confident, ready to go.
you know what? That's the best mandate I've heard so far.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if you think about it, pump up. Okay, we would probably not be yelling at each other in traffic if we do commute to work anymore. People
Mhm.
would be so excited every single day. I
Yep.
love this.
And
Perfect.
everybody would be so confident, and that translates directly into training for a marathon. So there you go.
Right? Could you imagine the productivity too that would increase?
And everybody would just be walking around like hair flips, like just feeling good. It'd be great.
Absolutely. So now, speaking of confidence, tell us a little bit about yourself before we get into the mental, my side of running. How are you a runner? How did you get into running? What is running to you?
Absolutely. So I have always been a runner, but definitely not as intense as what most people think a marathon runner is. And so that's why I'm really excited about this conversation because I want the biggest takeaway today to be that anyone can run a marathon. You do not need to be naturally gifted. You don't need to be
Yeah.
pounding the pavement, running 100K a week. You will be shocked when I tell you how much I trained for my two marathons. I barely trained. But for me, it was all the mental side. And that's how I was able to get out there and end up qualifying for Boston. So we'll get into that.
Love
But
it.
yeah, always been a runner all through high school, university, not so much. I mean, whatever, we all have our college days. And then, but I actually started getting to the long distance running much later. So when I was like 27, did two half marathons, said, heck, let's try a full one. I've only done two full marathons, but I've been bitten with the marathon bug. I want to do a lot more. Pandemic needs to stop so that we can get out there and continue running.
Now, since you're up in Canada, are they having a lot of runs right now, or what does the running sphere look like up there? Well, okay, hold on. Prior to 20 degrees, what does it look like right now? Are people outside running, or is it still more staying indoors?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people, I think actually the pandemic was good for the sport of running because people
Yeah,
couldn't go to the gym, right?
right.
So a lot of people did walks and took up running because it was a safe way to exercise, get outdoors, no mask.
Yeah.
But the races shut down everywhere. So, and the mandates are still pretty intense up here. So there haven't been, to my knowledge, any marathons yet since the
Yeah.
world shut down March 2020. It's just these virtual marathons, which props to you if you can do that, but I need a lot more, cheering, people giving me water, a lot more than just,
Yeah.
running 42K on my own. I can't do
Yeah, no, I'm right there with I think I did that one for Boston back in 2020.
it.
We
You're
were done.
amazing.
We were done. So,
Mm-mm.
all right, so getting in, okay, you said you did not train.
No.
How did you do this?
Okay, so how I did this, I made a full marathon training schedule, right? Like my time was I wanted to do a 445-kilometer split, which would get me about a 320 marathon time. Our time for Boston being under 34 is 330, so a good buffer. So I had a whole
Mhm.
schedule where I would run 3 days a week, cross train 3 days a week, rest one day a week. That all
Okay,
went out
cool.
the window. Like I You start running. There's a snowstorm. I'm not going to run today. Start running. Oh, there's a St. Patrick's Day party on Saturday. I can't do my long. Like I was excuses city. So I did 3 long runs leading up to my marathon, two 24K and one 28K run. So miles.
Oh
Okay,
my
so if it's
God.
42-kilometer race, I don't know
That's
what
like
that is in football miles.
13. Like honestly,
Like
that's like 13 something miles. You're not really going high above 13 for long
I
runs.
ran 28 kilometers once.
Oh
That
my
was my
God.
longest run. So I was going into this marathon blind. But okay, so my secret whenever people ask me, if you can't run constantly every week, how do you qualify for Boston? And I've bucketed into like 3 C's: cross training, carbs, and chiropractor. So
I love that last one. Please
yeah.
preach that last one. Last one's my favorite. Keep going.
Okay, so cross training huge. So I only ran 3 days a week. So the other days I was doing spin class, yoga,
Okay.
huge for stretching,
Okay.
swimming, like that. I honestly feel like helped me so much because I wasn't running that much.
Right.
Carbs, we all know it. Best friend. That's the best part about marathon training. Pasta City, pizza, can't get enough. And then finally, chiropractor. Okay, so chiropractor and massage therapy, I'll loop that together. I was going to see them every 2 weeks. They would adjust my back, stretch me out, massage me. I honestly
Right.
feel like that helped me so much because it helps your recovery that much quicker. You need those. If you have benefits, take advantage.
Yeah. I mean, oh my gosh. I've I cannot say enough good things about the chiropractor because I'm telling you. So I didn't go to the chiropractor first time I qualified for Boston. I didn't. But I didn't
Wow.
it wasn't 4 months later I got into a car accident. My
Oh
doctor
my
like dropped me
God.
because I was in a car accident. It was like I was rear-ended. It was good enough to like throw me like, "Whoa, wait a minute, what happened?" My doctor's like, "I don't take car accident patients." So I went to a chiropractor.
You can't
He
just not take
I
car
know.
accident
Yeah, I guess so.
patients.
I never heard that before until then. And I
Yeah,
was like, all
okay.
right, well, I'll go somewhere else. So started paying for a chiropractor, and best decision I've ever done in my life. And it
Mhm.
fixed like problems I've had for 10 years that people told me I couldn't fix just by
Mhm.
alignment because my alignment was off because everybody's alignment gets off. So
Yep.
chiropractor, 100%.
Yep.
I'm right there with you.
Even it helped my breathing because
Right.
when I was younger, I had exercise induced asthma. So I used to have a puffer. I
Yes.
think I grew out of it or something, but I don't know, something with a chiropractor, I was able to take deeper breaths on my runs. So just chiropractor, massage therapy, and a foam roller. Oh my gosh, roll out your legs. It hurts so bad, but yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. Okay, hold on, real quick. Like disclosure here. There was a weird picture going. It was on Instagram, and everything you see on Instagram, you guys, is so not true. They somebody was trying to get rid of the foam rollers, saying how bad it is for you to foam roll out if you're a runner. And to
Really?
me, it said something about how it's not really a myofascial release or something like that. And to be honest with you, I just think that's somebody looking for attention to get a bunch of likes and shares about something that's like,
Mhm.
like goes against the social norm. So I don't know who you are. Throw that out if you're just getting into running because you need a foam roller. You need a foam roller,
Yeah.
especially for those IT bands. Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. So tell
And
me,
Epsom salt baths. Okay, I
oh,
keep coming up with
yes.
more things.
I'm telling you, we should just be running together and doing all these all the
I know,
time.
except not running. These are all the things I do that isn't running, but it just shows that like so much goes into marathon
Absolutely.
training, and it's on like the running is maybe 50% of it for me, and it was all the other stuff that helped me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, so talking about those other things, when you are running, so you did all of this leading up to the marathon. Now, when you're
Mhm.
running this marathon, you can choose your first or second one, whichever one you want to talk about, or both. That mental state. What did that look like in the marathon? How do you push through? And are you somebody that gives yourself a mantra beforehand? Do you keep telling yourself during? Do you listen to music? Walk us through this.
Okay. So it was all I could think about in the weeks leading up to the marathon. I was eating, sleeping, dreaming Boston. This was
Wow.
something that I wanted to do for me. It was just this unique thing that I could do. And I was so close because I had run a marathon a couple months before that at that 3:35. So like I only needed to shave off 5 minutes. So this was, my goal, my mental goal. And that morning I was like shaking excited. I can only compare it to what other athletes say, before Super Bowl. Like I'm just saying it's not, this was my Super Bowl, right?
This
Like
is
I
our
was
Super
so,
Bowl. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
I was
absolutely.
so fired up. And yes, I do need to listen to music. So I have
Uh-huh.
my AirPods. I need music. This was 2019. So I didn't have a watch. I printed off my split times that I needed to be at for every mile on like a piece of paper and I taped it around my wrist because I didn't have a watch. Like I just didn't I don't know what I was thinking.
Wait, can we take a step back? How did you not have a watch? How did you train and not have a watch? I'd lose my mind. I
Like
get
I had
I
an
cry when they die.
yeah, I had an old school watch. Like I didn't
Oh my
have,
god.
I don't know what I was thinking. Like I had a stopwatch, but it didn't do my lap times. So like,
Oh,
yeah, I had a
got you.
stopwatch,
Okay,
but I
that makes
had to
sense.
have the wrist beside me to say, it would, when I looked down and my watch would beep that I was at 5K, I needed something to be like, you're on pace. So, okay, yeah, I had a watch, but it didn't tell me my
Gotcha. That
pace.
makes so much more sense. Okay, I was gonna say, like, how are you not
Yeah,
looking at
no,
your
yeah.
wrist? Like, all these runners are sitting here,
Now I
like,
have an Apple Watch,
cringing.
yes.
All right, keep going.
Um, Okay, so I obviously went out way too hard. Like, you're fired up on the run.
Absolutely.
I think I went out, I was trying to run 450 per kilometer and I run out 430 or something. Like you're sprinting, you're excited. My weird thing about marathon training though, or running in the race is I don't drink water until about 10K in, which I drink a ton the night before, a lot in the morning, stop drinking about an 30 minutes before the run because you don't want to cramp.
Of
But
course.
then I don't even touch those water stations till 10K. And then at 10K, I have a bit of water. At 16K, then I introduce some Gatorade. And then at right past the half marathon, then I had some of those energy bite things. They have electrolytes in them. I
Okay.
brought them in a pocket. Yeah. So I had those at about 24K. And then Advil. I brought Advil with me. You take it at 24, 28K. Thank God I did because pain came in hot at
So let me
32K.
let me ask you this question. Did you get sick? Did you take it with a goo? How did you take Advil in the middle of the race? And how did that sit with your stomach?
It was fine with my stomach and I just took it with I passed a water station and so I just popped 2 Advil and then went past a water station and swallowed it.
Wow.
And I
I'm
think
I'm
that
shocked.
because I remember reading about this ahead of time, it I think helped the pain that was eventually going to happen because as soon as I reached 28 kilometers, I was like, I've never run this far and I still have 14 to go.
Oh my
So,
god. Oh, okay,
yeah,
so actually let me ask you that question. You never ever ran a marathon other than that one previously before during this
yep.
race that you qualified at.
No,
You didn't even get close to that distance.
no, not even
Okay.
close. So for
Mental
me,
note.
again, it was the mental. I was like, I am doing this if I have to crawl across that finish line. And I ended up, I had to go to a physiotherapist the next day because I couldn't walk. I tore all of the muscle fibers in my quads. Like I was
Oh god.
severely injured. He was
Oh my
shocked.
god.
And when I told him, yeah, I ran it in 3:25, he was like, oh my gosh, did you crawl across the finish line? I was like, no, I made it. He's like, your legs are a disaster. Like I couldn't go to work for a couple of days. Like I was
Oh my gosh.
total injury
And it's because your body just wasn't ready for this.
because I didn't train enough. But I wanted
Okay.
it so bad. And
Absolutely.
so people need to know if you want something,
Mhm.
you can do it, but
Wow.
train more than I did.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing, and I think this is what's so incredible about everything that you just said. That last part. You you literally tore muscle fibers off of, your body. Like your body was like, I cannot do this, but your mental state was like, yes, I can. And I
Mhm.
want to point out something else that you said, and it was at the very, very beginning of kind of this, and it was, I could only eat, sleep, and think about Boston. That's all you did. You envisioned it. Like
Mhm.
you could see yourself at this Boston Marathon or qualifying to get to this Boston Marathon. Now, of course, we discussed this beforehand, and of course, I'm going to bring this up. We didn't make it to Boston because 2020 is a joke.
Yeah.
This obstacle, how are you getting around it? And feel free to go ahead and describe this experience through Boston, because for a lot of people listening, they may or may not know what's going on. And on top of it, they don't understand the mental, I guess, disaster it has created for a lot of runners and how hard
Mhm.
it is for us to continue running.
Yeah. So as you know, any amateur marathon runner knows the Boston Marathon, mecca of marathons.
Right.
Some people train their whole lives for it. So the year that we were trying to qualify, which was 2020,
Yep.
they had actually lowered the admission by 5 minutes. This was the first time they had done this in, I think, 6 or 7 years.
That's
So
a long time.
for me, it was 3:30 was the qualifying time I had to run. Before that, it had been 3:35. So it was already 5 minutes harder. And so I ran my race May 2019. I ran it in 3:25 and a half. So I had a 4.5 minute buffer, felt good. We got the acceptance in September. You made it. I think the cutoff time was about 1 minute and 39 seconds.
Something
So
like that. Yeah.
yeah, so I made it by about a 3 minute cushion, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it is quite
Enough.
okay. So yeah, then this was for April 2020. World shuts down in March. We get the devastating email after my Airbnb, everything was booked. And I was devastated, but I remember everyone telling me, oh, don't worry about it. When the pandemic's done or when it slows down, you'll be able to run it again. Like they will honor your acceptance.
That's what I kept thinking too. I'm right
Yeah,
there with you. I kept thinking they'll always do the right thing. Oh
of
god.
course, because people, again, like train their whole lives for this. So
Mhm.
I don't even know what happened. So after that, I mean, it became a virtual event for 2020 in October. We discussed this. I can't do virtual. Like I don't have the motivation. Like we discussed, I'm such a mental runner. I need so many things that day to get me in that mindset, and I can't do it on my own out on the random street. So then for 2021, pandemic's still raging, so they pushed it to the fall. And for social distancing or something, they cut it by 10,000 runners. So now that 139 buffer they gave everyone became a 747 buffer. And me, who beat it only by 4.5 minutes, I was cut off. And so were you, and so were thousands of runners. And that
Mhm.
was that. We're sitting here now, kind of flabbergasted. What do? We have to requalify.
Yeah. And I mean, that's what we thought, right? Alongside of, I mean, people tell us I know people kept telling me to sign up for that stupid virtual marathon that they honored. They gave you this special code if you didn't make it into 2021. They're like, oh, here, just send it off, give it to you to run the virtual because you didn't make it into Boston.
Mm-hmm.
Then they let those runners in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think all of us just about tore our heads off.
I can't even deal with that.
Hold on,
So,
pause right there. I just have to
yeah.
explain something to my boyfriend because he's not getting it because I need him
Oh
to
my gosh,
fix.
no
I'm
worries.
so sorry. Hold on. Okay. No. Tell
Wait, your
Ryan.
screen's blurry. I wonder, am I
Oh,
blurry?
so it's recording locally. Don't worry about it.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Because I was kind of panicking.
Okay. All right. We're good. We're good.
Okay, no
Back to it.
worries.
Okay. So what did we say? Okay. So we were about to tear our head, our hair out. And like somebody was responsible for this.
Somebody who clearly has not qualified for the Boston Marathon before,
Absolutely.
because it is just so devastating. And then why we're talking now is because, okay, so for 2022, they've got to throw us a bone here. And for 2022, they the times that they could accept were after September 2019. I ran my race May 2019, so I have now missed the cutoff. And they didn't have to cut anyone out of the race.
Ah,
Every
man.
single person got accepted who qualified for 2022. Every single person. So I don't even
I
know.
see, here's the thing, and like I'm right here with you. Oh my gosh. I kept telling people I feel like I'm in this race that I have lost at least 6 times now, and I've only run it once, and I've lost it 6 times. I just don't understand. But
And it's just, as I said to you yesterday, like, I'm only getting older and fatter. Like, the pandemic hasn't been good on anybody's thighs. You know, we're all sad at home. So, yeah, I'll get some donuts and some cookies to make me happy. I am not in the shape that I was in 2019. What am I supposed to do?
I mean, obviously, we're going to have to get back to that, right? We're
I
going to
know.
have to get back into shape. We're going to have to, sadly, this really sucks. We're going to have to like put on our big girl pants and really try to go out there and I mean like our big girl pants now that we're a little bit fatter
Like,
than when we were.
literally, yeah.
I'm kidding. But like we're going to have to like this is what sucks, right? Where us as runners, and you can explain the mental toll cuz you've already said this is all mental for you when
Mhm.
you ran the marathon. What kind of mental toll has this like now accumulated on you, and where are you today with it? Because it's not just not affecting us. That's why we're talking.
Yeah. No, and I think I mean, I still love running. I love the sport, but I genuinely found it really hard to go out for runs in the last couple months because I just didn't feel as motivated anymore.
Right.
And so it kind of took the wind out of my sails, but I've had my pity party. You know, I needed to be sad and cry about it and eat my donuts and whatever. But now I am like, I'm doing this. You know, we're still runners at the end of the day. We deserve to run Boston. I want to run Heartbreak Hill. I want to
Absolutely.
run, you know, through the tunnel of Wellesley College. And like, we deserve it. And so I'm going to do it. And we're gonna listen to angry music on our runs, and that's just gonna motivate me way more. So it's happening. I just gotta get out there when it's not snowing.
And so I don't think we mentioned this. While you were training for Boston for the first half, you were out in Canada snow, right? Like
Oh
it wasn't
yeah.
warm. It was not Florida heat. It was
No, because the Boston Marathon's
Canada
always in
winter.
April.
Yeah.
So my runs are January, February, March, and it is freezing. And like I said to you yesterday, I slipped on ice in
This is
end of
awful.
January and broke my arm when I was training for Boston. And I mean, it ended up getting canceled, but that really I know. So now I'm very particular about shoes, which I always have been. I feel like this is not an endorsement for Nike Pegasus, but those are my go-to shoes. But I need one with grips now. And so I'm like, I've bought
Yeah.
shoes with grips and snow and ice and all of that because that's the reality of living up here.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard for me to understand living down here in Florida. I'm thinking if it's not flip-flops, I guess it's my running shoes. I know.
Yeah, you could run just bare feet and be fine
I
on the
know a lot of people
sand.
that do. I'm telling you, I know a lot of people that do. Now, moving forward into this, I know you're going to do another marathon. You're going to have to. We're going to get to Boston someday.
Yeah,
How
we
are you
are.
going to go about this next marathon training? Are you going to train more, or are you really going to start focusing mental? Because again, you're going to have to rebuild yourself self mentally because it's almost like a fear that's like now blocking us with Boston where we think, why should we do this? Because obviously it's not just what if a global pandemic hits? It's what if Boston moves the goalpost again and I lose this
Mhm.
race for a ninth time? Like, how are you going to prepare for the next race?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a combination of both. And it's just going to be, hey, if I don't make it to Boston, it's never a waste training and running a marathon. The training leading up to it, you're getting in great shape. My runs are always so important to me from a mental capacity because I'm going out there and it's just you and the trail. You know, you don't have your
Mhm.
phone, you don't have your computer. I'm sorting out all of my problems, my opportunities on that run. And so if I run a marathon and I don't qualify for Boston, I didn't waste those last couple months training. That was so good for me mentally and physically. So, but I do at the end of the day really want to prove to myself and prove to the Boston Marathon that, hey, I belong there. And
Yeah.
nothing, including a pandemic, including you guys changing the time 5 minutes faster, nothing's going to stop me. So, and I'm going to train more than just running a couple long runs. I'm going to
Please,
do
for the
it.
sake of your legs.
Oh my God, a physiotherapist will kill me for the sake of him too. Hey, I'm giving him a job, so maybe.
Us runners keep them employed. I swear. If it wasn't for
Exactly.
us, nobody would go to them. It's us runners that have
Oh,
beaten our bodies up. I love it.
yeah, it's
I love
crazy.
it. Well, honestly, I know both of us will get there someday. And we'll get there 2023, not even someday. We'll be there 2023. It's just a matter of how we're going to get there. It's just beyond my imagination right now.
Exactly. Exactly. What
So,
about you? What's going to be your main motivating factor?
man, so I mean, like, I'm kind of like you. I had to kind of do the same thing. I threw my pity party. I threw it at least several hundred times, and I kept reminding people that I didn't make it into Boston. And
Yeah.
it's just like I kept doing it, and then finally, I just realized, you know what? I can't do anything about this. There's no amount of complaining that's going to get me into this race. It's going to be the work all over again. But at least this time, I'm much more prepared. I have a chiropractor. I'm healthier. I'm stronger than I've ever been. I
Mm.
think in a better mental mindset. I wasn't in a good place when I qualified for Boston mentally in relationships and everything. Everything has changed
Got it.
since then. So honestly, I can come back and I think I can flip this around to be even better. And
It's
then
huge.
hopefully when we cross the finish line, it'll be more rewarding. Because
Hmm.
I'm not sure about you, but you mentioned when we talked the other day, and I wanted to bring this up, but I forgot to touch on this. You had said something that you qualified on your second marathon, right? I did
Yeah.
too. It was my second marathon. I qualified, and I remember thinking, people train their whole lives for this, and I just like walked right on. Like, okay,
Hmm.
cool. Like, I'm gonna go run Boston. It wasn't super special to me.
Yeah.
Little did we know that it was going to be a whole strong battle there, but it almost means that much more. Regardless
Yes.
if it still has the prestige in our minds, but it means that much more now. So I'm actually more excited to start working towards it because I'm like, I can't even tell you how good this is going to feel. And it's going to close an entire like decade of my life.
I just got the
when we,
chills when you were saying that, meaning it's going to mean so much more because you're
yeah,
so right. Because we have
yeah,
lived through a pandemic and getting in and getting our hopes up. And
yeah,
now when we do run and cross that finish line, it's going to, this has been years in the making and we
big
so,
time.
so deserve this versus it was our second marathon and we just kind of happened to qualify on a fluke.
Yeah,
Now it's like we're going into this with the goal of this is what we're doing. And
yeah.
after everything we've been through in so many years, we're doing it. We're crossing that finish line. It's going to be the best.
This is our Olympic gold medal race.
It
This is
is.
this is our race, and I'm telling you right now, we're gonna. I always wanted to cry when I crossed the finish line, not because I'm in pain, but because like I was proud of it. But I haven't had that moment because I don't know. Running never came super hard to me. I just kept going.
Hmm.
It was more mental to me. So now
Hmm.
I'll probably just drop dead at the end of this Boston
Oh, we're going to
Marathon.
be waterworks. Like we're doing it together, hand
We're
holding.
gonna do
Let's make
it. Oh
shirts.
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh my god, matching shirts.
Yeah.
Whining for the unicorn.
Let's just talk with a Boston
I love
accent the entire week leading up to it so we're ready. Like pak de ka, like
it.
that. Like I love it. I
I
love
love
that accent.
Boston cream donuts. That's what
Oh
we're gonna have for
yeah.
breakfast.
Hmm.
I don't care if it's
Boston
healthy or not.
Lager, Samuel Adams.
We'll be chugging
Hmm.
those at the finish line.
Oh,
We'll be
absolutely.
able to shotgun it right when we cross the finish line.
Yep.
I
There we
love
go.
it.
See, now I'm fired up. We're making it
See, we've already
fun.
got plans. We just got to find our hotel and got to get there.
Yeah.
So now coming to the end of the podcast, I've got 3 questions for you. So the first
Okay.
one is just kind of a general sense in life to just relate to the audience and maybe like help them through something that they may be going through that you're going through too. And one of those is, what is something that you're just surviving that you feel like you're just making it through? Maybe you have a day, or it was just a day that you just felt like you had to survive, or maybe it's an event that's going on right now in your life. What is that to you?
I think for me, and I know we touched on this the other day, there's a couple mental health issues happening within some family members right
Right.
now. And so I think, I mean, I don't know if survive is the right word, but I'm just trying to be there, be
Yeah.
supportive for them when there isn't much I can do when it's mental health. Because, if somebody broke their leg, you can,
Hard.
help them, open the door for them if they're on crutches, make meals for them. But when it's mental health, it's not as black and white how to help them. And so I think for me, and I know we touched on this, like running has been so helpful for me because I can go out there and while I'm on my run, kind of sort out how to be supportive for
Yeah.
them. But for me, the next couple of weeks in the holidays, it's just being there for, those family members and reminding them, that I love them, that I'm there for them. And that's kind of my number one right now.
I love it. I love it. And
Mhm.
that's exactly what you have to do. And that's where running comes in. Now,
Exactly.
next question, thriving. What is something in life that you feel like you're thriving at right now that you're just super
Ooh,
proud of and you need to share?
I think Um, I think my friendships. I feel like
I
I've
love it.
got really, yeah, really, really great friends. I'm so lucky, so proud of them. I have a great relationship with my boyfriend as well. And so I think just my relationships, I feel like are really solid. And again, I feel like everything, exercise and all of that always helps so much because when I'm
Big
working
time.
out, I'm happier, then I'm a better friend. It's all tied in together.
I love it. And friendships really make just a world of difference.
I
Just a
know.
world of difference.
Especially when I want to cry and call them about Boston, like they're listening. They're there for me. Even if they don't get it, they're there.
I was going to ask, do they get it? Are they runners or are they just no?
Not really, but they're just the most supportive people in the world, so they get it.
Same with my friends. They're like, "It's gonna be okay," and I'm like, they haven't run a mile, and I know they tell
Yeah.
me they're like, "I can't even run a mile." They're like, "I understand the pain that they're like 26. That sounds awful." They're like, "We're here. Let's go get some carrot cake." And I'm like, "It's okay." I get it. Carrot cake's my
Yeah, like
favorite.
it's anything how people can relate. It's anything they've ever, wanted really badly in their life. Maybe it's that career, that
Yeah.
promotion, that new car, new house, new whatever that, was like this for us. So people can understand like how we're let down after working really hard towards something. So it's kind of
Yes.
that's how it's relatable.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Like, think about it as like you're trying to buy this house and your hopes went up and down at least 5 or 6 times. Like, you thought you
Yeah.
were going to buy it at least 5 times. And then finally, the end result was it was sold to somebody else.
Roller
And
coaster.
you're
Yeah.
like, darn it. It's so
Yeah.
close. All right,
Ugh.
final question. This is in your daily routines, your habits, something that you do every day that like gives you strength. How do you run your life before life runs you?
Oh, I like that. Something I do every day. Actually, okay, so this is more recent because I started this during the podcast. Or not during the podcast, during the pandemic.
Wow, that was
Not
recent
literally
within the
right
last
now.
30 minutes.
During the pandemic was I took up yoga. And even if it's just 5 or 10 minutes, I'll watch a YouTube video or,
Yeah.
a workout app. And it has been so therapeutic for me. And even if I can't work out that day or I can't go for a run, I can't go to the gym, I will squeeze in a bit of yoga. And it's just been life changing for me. My body feels better. It's 5, 10 minutes away from your computer. We're all working from home.
Yeah.
It's just been my favorite thing ever. And I was not, able to stretch at all before. And now, my body feels way different. So that's my thing.
You know,
Yoga.
just real quick before we really wrap up this podcast, somebody was telling me the other day, one of my clients, she was talking to me about she knows this 90-year-old, and this 90-year-old doesn't have arthritis, doesn't have any like pains or anything. And she was like, "Well, what's your secret?" And my client's like in their 60s. And this woman literally said she's like 30 minutes of stretching. She didn't say yoga, but yoga is
Wow.
stretching, let's be honest.
Yep. Yep.
30 minutes of stretching every single day. And she's like,
Mhm.
and I've never had a lot of pain, other
Yep.
than like, I get aches and pains. I'm 23, but it is what it is. Are we ever going to
Honey,
escape them?
wait till you're 30. Like on my 30th birthday, I woke up and had a sore back and was like, this is it. I'm done. This is old age.
Oh no. Hey, you know what? It's okay. We're all thriving anyways. So, well, Rachel, I appreciate you coming on the podcast. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. This was so much fun. It just feels like I'm talking to one of my best friends. Like,
All right.
I can't wait to go for a run with you.
That's a joy of running. And you'll be down here in March, so we will.
Yes.
Well, maybe even have a follow-up of where we are with our running.
Yeah, that would
on
be
our
so
Boston
much
journey.
fun.
The road to Boston, the long road to Boston.
It is a long road.
The documentary.
It's longer than 42 kilometers. This road just keeps going.
And that's why they call it a marathon.
Yeah.
So if you enjoyed today's podcast and you're listening to this, please, one, share with your friends and like and subscribe. So make sure you're hitting that subscribe button where it shows up on your podcast feed every single day, no matter where you listen to it. And if you want more, head over to runthrivesurvive.com, and you can also sign up for the 13th Mile newsletter that only goes out once a month, and that's on the 13th. So you guys, as always, you are wonderful people. Get out there and run your life before life runs you. Bye, guys.